Hello, everybody. Well, this is it. The top 15 of my favorite Beatles songs from their studio output. Thank you, everybody that's joined on for every video. I could name names, but I won't because I'll leave somebody out. But you know who you are. You've been watching the whole series, commenting through their ups and downs, if you will, and the length of the series. I didn't think it would take this long, but it's taken probably creeping up on 2.5 weeks or so. So thank you all for watching, and I'll be happy to get out some different content after this video is up. I've already got a video in the can. So without any further ado, let's jump into my top 15 Beatles songs. At number 15, one of those songs that introduced the world to the Beatles via the Ed Sullivan Show from With the Beatles, All My Lovin'. One of those great early Beatles tracks with the just cold start, close your eyes and I'll kiss you, and then the great rhythm guitar playing by John. It's very hard to play. If you've ever tried to play the rhythm part of that song, your wrist has to move. I mean, John is really going to town on that, and just one of those great songs. Again, you picture the Beatles in their suits, they're black and white. This was the song that launched 1,000 ships, if you will. Everybody from Bruce Springsteen to members of Kiss, everybody that came out in the '70s owes a lot to this particular song and to the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. I love it. It's high energy. It's quick, just a couple minutes long. It's my favorite song off of the With the Beatles album, and it's number 15 overall. Number 14, one of the great Beatles singles. I believe it was the flip side to the song Help, 1965. It's the song I'm Down. It's Paul McCartney doing his best take on a Little Richard song, even though it wasn't a Little Richard song. It was, the Beatles writing like Little Richard. Again, that you tell lies thinking I can't see, you can't cry cause you're laughing at me. And then Ringo just kicks in the I'm down, I'm really down, with George and John singing the background vocals. And again, this is one of those songs I can't picture it in any other way other than from Shea Stadium with the Beatles in those tan suits, John playing the organ, doing the elbow thing up and down the keys because the crowd was so loud, and they figured we could play anything we want and they are still going to scream, and you can see that they're just laughing at how loud it is. It's one of those tracks where Ringo talks about not being able to hear the other Beatles, especially at that show, and he was relying solely on their foot tapping and their butts shaking, or bums as he said, just to see which part they were on for the song, which just goes to show how well of a musician, how good of a drummer. It doesn't sound good. How good of a drummer Ringo really is. So I'm Down, number 14, one of Paul's best vocals. Number 13, one of my favorite ballads, And I Love Her, from Hard Day's Night. It's got that beautiful nylon acoustic guitar. I started out on nylon guitar when I first learned for my first 2 years of lessons and played classical guitar. And this is one of those songs that once I broke away from lessons, I learned the intro, the intro to the song, and then years later I learned the do 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 do. Apparently George just came up with those solos on the spot. Of course, George, being a young kid from Liverpool, probably wasn't playing classical guitar up till this point, and they just said how beautiful it was. You get that beautiful solo. It's so simple, the do 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 do, and then just the beautiful vocals from Paul. It plays a key scene in the Hard Day's Night movie at the concert. It's beautiful. I love the song, and I love her. Number 12 from Beatles for Sale is going to be I'll Follow the Sun. And as you can tell, this top 15 is very Paul McCartney heavy because he's my favorite Beatle. Number 12 is I'll Follow the Sun, one of those beautiful ballads, kind of lilts a little bit, very beach-like. Sounds like it could have been like a Jimmy Buffett song, honestly. And it's just got those great instruments in the background, the boom doo 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 doo, and then you get that great guitar slide, the bow 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 bow, and then you got the great double track vocal by Paul, which I think was one of the first times that the Beatles did double tracking on their vocals, with the whole time has come, so my love I must go. Makes me wonder kind of what John might have thought of that when Paul was playing the John and Paul parts with his own voice. And again, it would just go to show the direction that Paul would take by taking a hands-on approach to his music. So I'll Follow the Sun, number 12. Number 11, probably a black sheep, one of the many in my list. And again, not a song that would have made my top 15 3 or 4 years ago, but with the reintroduction of the Let It Be box set and the Get Back movie, the song has really gone up in the ranks, and that is One After 909, which I know Paul, went the first time I saw him back in 2014, played the song. Killer how he did it. It was one of the earliest Beatles tracks recorded. I think it was done in like the late 50s, 57, 58, when John and Paul wrote it. And again, just one of those great songs where I think John had said at one point they just wanted to write a train song at that in the late 50s. You know, they were listening to skiffle music, a lot of train songs, Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, stuff like that, that the Beatles were soaking in over in the docks of Liverpool. And it's just a great rocking song, very 50s rockabilly with the whole, move over once, move over twice, and then you got Billy Preston playing the fantastic piano parts. And then the John part with the bridge, pick up my bags, ran to the station. Just fantastic. And I love Paul using that guttural fat voice where he goes, well, I love the whole song. It rocks. One After 909, number 11. Number 10, Randall Nelson, applaud me. Number 10 is going to be Norwegian Wood from Rubber Soul. So we're in the top 10 now, folks. So Norwegian Wood's number 10. If you know anything about me, it's right up my alley in terms of the style of the track. It's John Lennon trying to do Bob Dylan. At this point, albums like Another Side of Bob Dylan, Bringing It All Back Home were out and about, and John was really soaking in the Bob Dylan influence on songs like this. And it's just fantastic. It's one of the earliest examples, if not the earliest example, of a sitar on a pop song. And George had just learned the sitar, so it's a very, elementary style sitar, but I think it sounds great. And again, I'm not a fan of the Indian music, but this is one of those great acoustic songs. John talking about kind of having an affair. Of course, John was not as very faithful to his wife at the time, Cynthia, especially this time the Beatles were in the throes of touring and Beatlemania. And it was kind of John's little way of saying, I'm not as faithful as, you might believe or not believe. I might be exactly who you thought I was. Just a great song. I love it. Norwegian Wood is number 10. Number 9 from the Help album, I've Just Seen a Face. It's one of those songs. I know my friend Glenn always refers to it as a bluegrass song. I don't hear it as bluegrass. I hear it as straight ahead country, and especially with the opening guitars, kind of like the kind of a flamenco style start, and then with the drums, it adds a country feel to it, like Bill Monroe. I know it's been covered by bluegrass and country artists alike. I know the Dillards have covered this song, but it's one of my favorites off of the Help album. And I love the song itself. Again, one of those songs with double track vocals by Paul. Though falling, yes I am falling, and she keeps calling me back again. And then I love the guitar. Boom, 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 doo, doo, doo. And then the whole solo part is great. The doom, 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 doo, 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 doo. And then they kind of veer off the melody where they go boom, 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 doo, 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 ba-dum. Falling, yes I am falling. Just, it's such a good song. I love it. Just love the track. Love the track. Number 8. It's going to be the song I Will from the White Album. It's one of the higher songs from the White Album for me. Actually, yeah, it's one of the highest songs from the White Album for me. And, it's just a beautiful little ballad by Paul. It's kind of, in the style of maybe a song like, And I Love Her or something like that. Just a really nice acoustic love ballad. Just who knows how long. It's got the great background, the do, 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 do. It's just fantastic. And again, the harmony, love you forever and forever, love you with all my heart. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful track. Absolutely love it. It's the only complaint is that it's way too short. The song could have been so much longer. I love the guitar on it. Again, the fantastic end, the do 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 da 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 da. Beautiful, love it, perfect song. Number 7, again from the Let It Be album, the opening track, I Dig a Pygmy by Charles Hawtrey and the Deaf Aids, Phase 1, in which Doris gets her oats. It's got that great bass line, which is actually played by George Harrison playing the bass strings on a guitar. One of those, final moments of great John and Paul chemistry. The co-lead vocals. It's just everything about this song is just so good. It makes you think, during all that turmoil that they were going through in early 1969 with the Get Back sessions, John and Paul could still put out some magic, and this is no exception of that magic. Absolutely love this track. Love the acoustic guitar, and then I love the whistling at the end with them going, Paul going, "We're going home." Lovely, lovely track. Number 6, so just eking out the top 5. This is very cliche, but it's one of those songs. I know people are sick of it. I'm not. It's not. It's one of those songs. I mean, songs like "Here Comes the Sun," I get sick of. Songs even like "A Hard Day's Night" or "Help," "Let It Be," songs like that. They get in the. They're not songs that I go to a lot. But this song, if it's on, I'm gonna listen to it. It's the song "Hey Jude" from 1968. One of the Beatles' longer tracks. We all know the sing-along chorus, the na 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 na. We all know the story about it. It was Paul kind of consoling Julie and Lennon during John and Yoko's separation. Oh, excuse me, during John and Cynthia's divorce. I know John kind of originally thought, and I'm not sure if it's 100% confirmed, that the song was about him, but the original title of the song was "Hey Jules," but then Paul changed it to Jude, and just a great, great track. And I know that Julian just put out a recent album called Jude, which is kind of cool. So again, what can you say? It's one of the best songs for McCartney to sing live. He does it every time. I don't get sick of it ever. Hey Jude, number 6. Top 5, folks. Number 5, again, from Let It Be. I have 3 Let It Be tracks in my top 15, and it is Get Back, the final track off of the Let It Be album. It's got that great ending with, "On behalf of the group and ourselves, I hope we pass the audition," from John. Again, that great kind of fade in, the Jojo was a man who thought he was a loner. And you've got both versions, the single version with the "Get Back, Loretta, your mama's waiting for you," with her high-heeled shoes and a low-neck sweater. And then Paul's got that, "Oh, get back." It's just so good. It's such a rocking song. I love the bass on it. It's just a fantastic Beatles track. It's so perfect for Paul's voice, and again, one of those great closing tracks on an album. So Get Back, number 5. Number 4 from the Help album, George Harrison, "I Need You." I've talked about this song ad nauseum on my channel. I love everything about this song. I love the jangly sound of it. I love the echo kind of reverb that is on the guitar, the bwomp 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 bwomp. "You don't realize how much it's just it's a sad song when you break it down, but the Beatles had that jangly sound to it. You've got John and Paul doing the background vocals, it's just so good. And then, of course, I can't think of it again without thinking of 2 things. The first of which is the Beatles in the Help album, the Help movie, playing the song at Stonehenge with the wind blowing. They all look freezing with the tanks wrapped around them in the movie. And then, of course, I can't think of it without thinking of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers playing it at the Concert for George in 2002 at the Royal Albert Hall, and the sad look and the sound tone of Tom Petty's voice when playing that track. So "I Need You," number 4, absolutely love it. Number 4 from the Let It Be sessions, excuse me. So I've got One After 909, Two of Us, Get Back. Number 3, I've Got a Feeling. My favorite track off of the Let It Be album. I love that crunchy guitar. Again, it's one of those songs that shows that chemistry of John and Paul before the breaking up of the band. That great bow down 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 down, and then it's like these 2 songs that were put together that were meant to go together, even though they weren't written together. You have the Paul part, the "I've Got a Feeling," and then you've got the "Everybody Had a Hard Year" bit by John, and then when they sing them at the same time, absolute magic. Love seeing it on the rooftop with the hair blowing. I love Paul when he's hitting that. All these years I've been wandering around. Then he gets to the, um, all I've been looking for is somebody who looked like you. And then that kind of acidy kind of guitar, that bow, now, 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 now. It's just so good. And again, this song has taken a step up for me, especially when I saw Paul McCartney back last May, where he did the track with the John Lennon face showing up on the screen from the rooftop concert, and they're harmonizing together. It was one of the more emotional moments that I've ever seen at a concert, to hear John and Paul play that together. It was just, it was just fantastic. I absolutely loved it, and I love this track. I've Got a Feeling, number three. Number two, again, I gave George a lot of heartache in the back end of my list. He's getting some redemption here in the top five. I just had I Need You at number four, and at number two, the masterpiece off of the White Album, by far my favorite song off the White Album, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, number two. How can you not like this song? With Eric Clapton playing that gorgeous solo at the end, just ripping it, tearing it up. And with George, there's beautiful vocals. I love the piano, the doon 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 doon, and then the Ringo pulling up off the hi hat, the shoom shot dun dun doom shot shot, and then do do do. Do 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 do, and then it was very, very Derek and the Dominoes sounding, and there's a reason that Eric is on that. It sounds like it could have been like a Derek and the Dominoes track, and just heavy, heavy lyrics. I look at you all, see the love there that's sleeping while my guitar gently weeps, and then that famous lost verse that ends up on the Love album. As I'm sitting here doing nothing but aging, one of my all-time favorite lines of any song ever written. Absolutely a perfect track. George Harrison knocked it out of the park. He's got that mournful kind of moan at the end. Like it's just so good. It's almost like he's crying, like with the guitar weeping. It's just, what can you say about that track? It's perfect. It's a perfect track through and through. That leaves number one, and this should not be any surprise to anybody that's seen any of my ranking videos of the Beatles. I've done ranking videos with my friend Rich Strickler. I've done them on my channel. I've talked about this song on live streams. It's A Day in the Life from Sgt. Pepper, the last track off of Sgt. Pepper. It's incredible how much I love Paul McCartney, and my favorite Beatles song is John Lennon's masterpiece, A Day in the Life. It's the best thing that John Lennon ever wrote, in my opinion. It's the best the Beatles ever sounded. It is just a magnum opus in, taking what is common at the time and completely turning it on its head, with that whole build up, the crescendo of the orchestra that Paul McCartney pushed for, where he said, start on one end of your instrument, and I don't care how you get to the other end, just get there on this measure. And the orchestra did it. Paul McCartney comes in at the middle eight with the woke up, fell out of bed part. The rest of the song is John Lennon kind of talking about events that took place in the news, about a lucky man that made the grade, 4,000 holes in Blackburn, Lancashire. Um, um, the English Army just winning the war. Of course, talking about How I Won the War, the movie that John Lennon had a part in 1967. It's just an absolute masterpiece, and it's got that fantastic piano chord at the end. It's got the whole I want to turn you on, or I'd love to turn you on, with the it's just very dreamy. You got the dreamlike state of John Lennon, then you have the alarm go off, which is like he's snapping out of it. Paul is reality, and then he goes upstairs, smokes, goes back into a dream. John's voice comes back in. It is just a perfect Beatles track. And that's why it's my number one and the final song on this list. So thank you all so much for watching this. Please like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think of my top 15. I know I've ticked people off on all these videos. That's okay. We all have differences of opinion on the Beatles. And I look forward to seeing anybody else out there who's going to be putting out a list. I know my friend Aaron Mutha Alamayer will be doing a list very shortly. So please be sure to check out his list when that finally drops. So thank you, everybody. Be good, take care, and we'll talk to you on a non-Beatles related video very soon. Bye now.